Hey gang, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. I'm here with Kit. Can you say hi to the people? Yeah. He likes to sit behind me. I've got a pillow that's behind me before this one back here. And he likes to get behind my back and sit up on that pillow. And most of the time he just lays down and curls up there. It's kind of nice having the warm backrest. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. I wanted to give you an update on what it's like to live in an RV full time when you're injured. So, we're going to roll the intro in just a moment, but first of all, as always, thank you so much for watching my videos. I truly appreciate you taking your time to do so. And if you're one of those people that want to help to make my channel grow and support my work, if you want to become a channel member, there's going to be a QR code right here you can click on. But likes, comments, subscribe, all the stuff, any of those things are really helpful. I appreciate your engagement. I appreciate you watching my videos. Here's the intro. We're going to get right into this.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for goodbyes. Journey calls, let's roll the dice. Every mile a new surprise.
Well, welcome back. Okay, so I'm doing this kind of as a almost like real-time vlog kind of situation because I decided that if I wait until I get to the end of the recovery period, I will have missed a lot of things along the way that might be useful to you if you ever find yourself in this position. So we're going to back up a few days. When last we reviewed, I had just recently arrived at my group camp here in Quartzsite, where I'm camped with half a dozen of my friends. And everybody has been, really super about helping out, taking care of Kit, getting him out for walks and so forth, taking me places that I need to go. Um, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for all of that. But I also want to share with you some of the realities of being injured. And being injured is different than being sick to a certain extent. Um, to my way of thinking, and I had a cold a couple of weeks ago for the first time since 2013. First time I've been sick since 2013. And I wasn't terribly sick. I mean, I actually drove a couple of the days that, I was in cold mode. Um, it wasn't particularly pleasant, but it wasn't terrible. However, that wasn't a big sickness. And I can understand that there may be illnesses that occur that would make you feel so bad that you don't feel like you can move, you don't feel like you can do anything. And hopefully that's a short-lived period. But if it goes on for a length of time, you could be in a world of hurt. So one of the things that I hadn't mentioned in a previous video was that if I had been in a position where I wouldn't be able to be near my friends and get help from those people, I probably would have ended up going to an RV park and doing like a month-long rental where I could be in a stable surface environment so that if I had to get in and out by myself, I mean, eventually Kit would learn how to pee and poop near the RV, which I trained him not to do because I really don't want him to pee and poop in our camp. So I always take him for walks. Well, that kind of has backfired on me a little bit. I'm gonna have to rethink that process because yesterday afternoon nobody was really readily available. It's funny, half our camp is down sick, which is why I bring up the illness thing. Several of my friends are feeling pretty punky and canceled out on going to an event yesterday that we were all planning to go to. So it was funny because I was sitting here and I'm looking around, it's like, well, nobody's left. And then we were kind of texting back and forth, and yeah, half the camp is sick, and the weather was like really windy yesterday and a whole bunch of stuff. So whatever. But if I hadn't had friends available that were willing and able to help me, I would have considered going to an RV park and doing a month-long rental. Because if you do a week, it's much cheaper than if it would be if you did daily, and if you do a month, it's much cheaper than daily or weekly would be. Excuse me, excuse me. What you doing there, huh? What you doing there, huh? What you do? Are you chewing on me? Are you, no, you're licking me. Okay. Was I dirty? Was I dirty? Is it okay? You want to talk to the people? Kit, we're talking to the people right now, okay? Okay. Good boy. Uh, sorry. But I digress. So you can do a monthly rental for much less money than it would be on a daily basis, and it would kind of be like, the cost of recovery. Now, I mentioned previously, I'm really fortunate. I did a Part G Medicare supplement plan that went into effect in October or November last year when I changed domicile. I need to do a video about domicile for you guys too. And because that's such a high level plan, and I pay a lot of money for it, but my entire hospital experience cost me $257, which is the copay deductible for the Part B part of Medicare. So that's the only out of pocket expense I'll have unless and until, heaven help me, I get into a situation where I need long-term, like nursing home care. There are limits on that. I can't remember what it is. I hope I don't ever have to do that, but you never know. So, and when I go to the doctor next, it's not going to cost me anything. So there's a bonus. So an RV park is an option, and part of the advantage there would be that I wouldn't be in a boondocking environment completely by myself. There would be other people nearby. So, do you remember the commercials for the senior citizens? I think it was for Life Alert. I've fallen and I can't get up. So if something happened like that, I could yell and somebody would optimally hear me. Or I could call the office at the RV park and say, hey, I need help. Can somebody come help me? Get up, or or I could call 911 and they'd be able to find me easier. It's harder to have an ambulance come find you in the middle of the desert, just saying. I mean, you can drop a pin. And oh, by the way, that's kind of a safety thing. I always drop a pin to my location whenever I'm boondocking so that I can immediately copy the coordinates. If I need to notify somebody of exactly where I am, I always do that, and it's a really good idea, I think, to know exactly what your location is when you are calm and not in a stressful situation, because when you're stressed, it's pretty hard to do things effectively. All right, so there's the whole thing about, what's plan B if I didn't have friends around, right? So I did sort of have a plan. I'm glad I didn't have to execute it. So what's been going on? What do I want to share with you about what the recovery phase has been like? Interestingly to me, it's boring and it feels very, very restrictive. Well, why is that? And it's funny to me because I can spend, you know, days happily puttering around in my RV. And when I say puttering around, I mean, playing with my VR headset and working on videos for you guys and doing research on other things. I've got a big ancestry database that I've been working on for years, and I love when I've got time to sit down and do that. I do all those same things when I'm not injured, right? But when I'm injured, I feel like I'm bored because I can't just walk out the door and go for a hike and take kid out. I can't do those things. So I think the restriction on what I am physically capable of doing right now is creating a sense of boredom that I really didn't expect. It's not like I don't have plenty of things to do, because I do. Um, so that's one thing. And another issue is that the very act of healing is very tiring. Kind of surprised me a little bit. And I'm gonna give you a couple different examples of that. So one day last week, my friend Cheryl took me to pick up mail, and then we went out to lunch. And I was pretty tired when we got back from that, but I wasn't exhausted. I was pretty tired though. And then near the end of last week, or oh, sorry, actually Monday of this week, another friend, and I'm not naming names because I don't want to call. Yeah, I'm not naming names because I don't want to call her out. She's not interested in being on video, so I'm going to respect that, even by not naming her, even though I'm very appreciative, don't get me wrong. Took me to pick up a wheelchair. And so, where did I get a wheelchair? I got a wheelchair for free to borrow at the Quartzsite Visitor Center. Well, why on earth would I want a wheelchair in the desert? I don't want it in the desert. While I'm in the desert, it does me absolutely no good. It's not an all terrain wheelchair. think they make those actually. Well, I've seen sand wheelchairs that were available at many of the East Coast beaches where I was traveling this past fall and winter, but I didn't get one of those. I've got a regular wheelchair. What was important about that to me is that when I need to do things like go to the grocery store or go do laundry, I can't be up and on the crutches for any great distance. It's just too exhausting. And the more time that my foot spends hanging down below my knee, I know my foot is always below my knee. I get it. I get it. But as opposed to being propped up as it is now on a pillow while I'm lounging on the sofa. But the more time my foot spends hanging down, um, the faster it goes numb. And the boot's heavy. So that's not a great solution. But the wheelchair actually is a great solution. Although it's apparently super heavy, I haven't had to lift it yet. And, awkward, it does fold, but awkward and all of those things. But after we picked up the wheelchair, we went to the grocery store and I was able to roll through I can handle the wheelchair pretty well rolling it myself, except in the gravel parking lot. Um, I could roll through the grocery store and then hand stuff to my friend that was with me to put in the basket. And so we picked up quite a few groceries and then came back to camp. That was on Monday last week or this week. And then Wednesday, she took me to go do laundry. So let's talk about what that really was like and how I ended up being so tired. And we'll come back to that in just a second because one of the things that's important to understand is even though I am doing my very best not to walk any more than I have to in order to be able to give my ankle and foot as much time as possible to heal, I'm still walking more than I would have expected. I am walking just in my rig back and forth to the bathroom and the kitchen, however many times a day I do that, which is plenty, back and forth to the bathroom. I'm walking an average of over 1,900 steps, even if I don't step out my door. So that's kind of crazy to me. And then Wednesday, so Tuesday evening, because I knew we were going to leave probably 8:30 or so Wednesday morning, I started getting my laundry together um, in terms of gathering up everything that I wanted to make sure I got washed, like his harness and his blanket and stuff like that. Um, and then, of course, I had to finish all of that on Wednesday morning and strip my bed. Now, for good or bad, my habit is I strip my bed when I do laundry and then I put the same sheets right back on. I do have another set of sheets, but I don't like them, so I hardly ever use them. And so I got up on Wednesday morning and I stripped my bed and I got the rest of the laundry ready and I was ready to go on time. Yay for me, because I never want to hold somebody up when they're going out of their way to help me. That's for sure. And we loaded up the wheelchair, got to the laundromat, got the wheelchair out. I can't remember. Yeah, got my laundry out first because the wheelchair was also in the way. Then got the wheelchair out for me, and my friend carried my laundry baskets in, put them in front of the machines I was going to use. I was able to get them loaded, pay and everything. I had to get somebody else to put the OxyClean in the top for me though, because I couldn't do that without standing up, and I really didn't want to be standing up there because the laundromat in Quartzsite that on Main Street is pretty crowded. And part of my plan had been that I was going to put my wash in, and then I was going to wheel on down the lane to Basics, which is part of the laundromat and owned by. So Jerry runs the laundromat, and Michelle runs Basics. So I was going to run down to Basics and get biscuits and gravy for breakfast because they're awesome. But turns out that they're closed on Wednesday, and they're closed on Wednesday because Michelle is working in the laundromat till. Go figure. So put the laundry in, and then of course I'm sitting around, I'm waiting for the wash to finish, and I transferred my clothes to the bottom washer, and then my friend put my blankets and sheets and all the other stuff in the upper, did I say washer? Upper dryer, and then we put those on to dry. Now, normally I'll stand up and fold my clothes in the laundromat so that it's done and all I have to do is come home and put stuff away. But the last couple of times, I've started folding like my shirts and shorts and pants, and then I deal with the socks and underwear and so forth when I get back to my rig, because I can sit down and I can do it at my table. And that was even more important to me in this case because I was already tired. I just didn't realize how tired I was. So I folded what really needed to be folded, sitting in the wheelchair, reaching up to the table, got everything loaded into the basket. We got back to camp. And I think we were back before 11 o'clock in the morning. So we left about 8:30, so about 2.5 hours, right? Not a really long time period, but I was tired. And we came back. I just, took my boot off, propped my foot up, and sat here on the sofa and watched TV for a few hours because I was tired. I just needed to rest. Now, I still hadn't done anything about putting my laundry away or making the bed. Now, I had asked my other friend Barb if I needed help, if she'd come help me make the bed. My thought had been, I have to shuffle back and forth from one end to the other to get the sheets on the corners and so on and so forth. But I decided to give it a go and see how hard it was going to be. And I kind of used a slightly different system than I've used before. It didn't seem all that bad to me. But again, I was like really tired after I'd done that. Still hadn't folded or put away the rest of the laundry, but at least the bed was made so I could go to bed that night. This is a shaggy laundry story. And I'm doing this deliberately because I want you guys to be able to think about the impact of how doing the smallest things really can affect how you feel and how you heal. I think both of those things are important. Kit, please stop licking. Please stop licking. Um, so that was all I got done on Wednesday. And then yesterday, which was Thursday, today's Friday. Um, yeah, just checking to make sure I had that right. Yesterday I was still tired. And when I looked at at how many steps I had walked on Wednesday, now keep in mind, the only steps that I walked outside of my rig on Wednesday were to go get out of the rig and get into my friend's truck, which she parked the door of her truck 3 feet away from the door of my rig, so it wasn't a big long walk, and the same thing coming back. And, getting out of her truck and into the wheelchair, and out of the wheelchair and back into the truck. Other than that, when we were out, I was in the wheelchair. I still managed to walk over 3,900 steps on Wednesday. And that explains exactly why I was still so tired on Thursday, because my average number of steps per day, if I'm not doing like a big hike, if I'm just doing a normal day, I normally walk about 8,000 or so steps a day. Well, I had almost half a normal day without actually taking a walk. So think about that. I mean, that's a lot of activity when I'm in recovery mode. And I think the thing that's important to think about is that if we don't give ourselves the grace to recover at the fastest pace that we can by doing the least that we can and asking for help where it's needed, recovery takes a whole lot longer. And my goal is to recover as quickly as possible because I think that'll make me I believe that will make me be less of a burden to my friends for a shorter period of time than if I say, oh, I can do this. And, I mean, like yesterday afternoon, I attempted to take Kid out because Rob wasn't back in camp yet. He went to the event that our friend Deborah Dickinson is having this weekend that most everybody else was too sick to go to. And because I was still so tired, I decided not to go yesterday. He offered to take me, but I'm thinking, no, I really need to rest. But he wasn't back yet and it was almost dark. So I decided, with everybody else being sick and unavailable, I was going to need to try and get Kid out myself. And I managed to get down to the bottom of the steps and, onto the desert ground by myself and get Kid out. But I couldn't go walking around the desert to go walk him over to a bush and telling him what to do, what I wanted him to do. While we were in camp, he just kind of like stood there and looked at me and he's like, nope, not going to happen. Fortunately, Rob came back while I was attempting to do this, and then Rob took him for a walk with Dottie. and he was fine. And the friend who has been walking him in the mornings for me isn't feeling well for the second day in a row. So she asked me if I could get somebody else to walk him. And, Rob took him out briefly this morning. He's working today. So he didn't have much time available. I'm hoping when he gets done working, maybe he'll have a little more time available. We'll see. I mean, it is what it is. So another aspect of this that I want to mention is as much as I want to be able to stick to normal routines, both for me and for Kit, I kind of can't do that because I'm at the mercy of what my friends are available to do, and I don't want to be a burden to them, right? So I think it's important to just kind of keep this stuff in mind if you find yourself in this kind of position. Now, let me be really, really clear if you've made it this far. I am not complaining in any way, shape, or form. I am incredibly grateful for all the help that I'm getting. I am incredibly grateful that I didn't do more damage to myself than I did, um, and that I do seem to be healing pretty well. I have reached the point now, so let's give a healing progress update too. I have reached the point now that I can navigate inside of my rig with the boot on without using the crutches. So I'm feeling pretty punk about that. That actually feels really good. Now, I got to be extremely careful about how I move my injured foot so I don't put pressure down on it in the wrong plane and cause an incredible amount of pain. But up until yesterday, I couldn't do that. So there's a big improvement. Now, my ankle doesn't seem to be improving at a rapid rate. My ankle is still pretty swollen on the outside and a little bit swollen on the inside, and it's pretty painful. So I'm not convinced it's not broken as well. Excuse me. The ER doc said it wasn't. I have an appointment with a podiatrist in Yuma next Thursday, so look, just a week from now, and I am hopeful that by Monday or Tuesday I'm going to feel like I'm going to be able to drive down there for that appointment. We'll find out. I mean, I hope that's going to be true. And if not, I think I'm going to push the appointment out a little bit further. But I'm hoping that that's going to be true. So we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, I'm doing the best that I can to heal as well as I can. As always, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your taking your time to watch my videos. Hope you got something out of this. Let me know what you think and what you would do perhaps even differently than I'm doing if you were dealing with this kind of injury on the road. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.